Recording because there is an issue with Comcast on the Channel 6, so this will be rebroadcast at a later date. Welcome everyone to the April 8th meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen. We started with Chief Sean Kelly at 6:30 for a brief non-public. Brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance at 6:50. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. Oh.
Good evening, Neil Kirk, Mount Dearborn Road. My wife Helene couldn't be here this evening. She has a conflicting meeting, but she wanted me to let you know that there was apparently an error in the minutes of March 18th. After the paragraph after where the manifest is discussed, Town Administrator Bolton reminded the board that unlike the library, the Board of Fire Wards does not have a bookkeeper, so all checks will be signed by the town treasurer. Helene wanted to note that the library does not have a bookkeeper, and the checks at the library are signed by either the treasurer or two of the trustees. I don't know how the Board of Fire Wards works, but since they control their budget, presumably they would have signing authority over that. I don't know how the treasurer could reasonably expect it to validate the request to the manifest that comes from the Board of Fire Wards. So just for your information, the library does not have a bookkeeper. I have two issues that I'd like to bring up. In your minutes of March 25th, 2019, there was the staffing discussion. I previously asked that the board consider having as much town participation in this as possible. You know that when new positions are created, the town gets involved. I think when a full-time position is eliminated, as I said, the town should be involved in some way. The board makes the decision, but I think we all come together as a community when there is public input. So I would again urge the board to figure out some way with respect to staffing discussions, that before you decide anything and before you've made up your minds finally, so that this is not just a facade, that there be some legitimate town input. We all benefit. The board benefits and citizens benefit when there's public participation. The next item relates to the police chief search. It looks as though you're not going to involve the public at all. I'd point out to you again that we don't want to have problems with the police chief the way we've had with some past police chiefs. The way that is most likely to happen is by as much public involvement as possible. You can do your interviews as you wish. You're proposing to do it this Thursday. But before you make a final decision on a candidate, the 3 or 4 choices should be known to the town. We should have an opportunity to talk to them, to discuss their philosophy with them, to discuss their budgeting with them. As you know, Weare is comparable to the town of Kingston, and at the time MRI put out the ad for our police chief, they also put out an ad for a police chief in Kingston. Kingston has 9 officers plus a part-time chief. We have 11 plus a part-time chief. Towns are comparable, or we have more mileage and somewhat a larger area. Their budget is $1.1 million, their police budget. Our police budget is $1.7 million. We spend $100,000 on overtime. They spend $15,000 on overtime. There was a series of questions that I suggested that the board might consider asking in their interviews. But again, it's important for the town to go forward with a new police chief that you involve citizens. It may be difficult to do it, but there are ways. I'm sure you folks are clever enough to figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jason Burdick.
And just, Jason, I did share, you guys in your package have some information that Jason shared, so I'm sorry, Jason.
Okay. Yeah, just further update on the camera system upgrade at the police department. I did finally get an email response from Mark Spires at PASIC.
From who?
And
P-A-S-E-K.
I,
No, who's the person?
Mark Spires, S-P-I-R-E-S.
I did ask him some questions, and one of them was, why did they stop working on the system? You know, they came up a few times, I guess, and did some of the work, but it didn't get completed. And I believe that was because the requirements of the system changed. That the chief wanted each of the 8 monitors that are located around the police department to be able to display independently of the others, so that each one could have a different view of the cameras. And that required a lot more. I mean, Spalding Hill put in a proposal in December to add a mini computer to each one of the monitors that would then run the viewing application, and you basically, you're turning each monitor into a computer system and running a viewing application software that would allow them to configure each monitor independently. The current system has a common signal that's fed to all 8 monitors. I was hoping that the chief was going to stick around so that we might be able to ask him why that requirement got put on, but I think that's why things stopped. So they're kind of waiting for, I think that he wrote me that they had another proposal to provide both viewing of old and new cameras with different views controlled at each location. And he's saying they're ready to return as soon as we're ready. But I didn't see a proposal that covered that. The proposal that they had for like over 14,000 was to replace 5 of the monitors with bigger monitors, and then to run additional Cat6 cabling and distribute the HD signal to the monitors using the Cat6. And I talked about it last week that I don't think that we need to do that to distribute the HD signal. It can be done with a modulator, an HD modulator. Take care of that part of it and use the existing coax that's already there to distribute the signal. But that's assuming that you have a common video signal on all 8 monitors. I think somebody has to make a decision as to what they want. If you know, PASIC does what they originally quoted, I think they're ready to come and finish it.
Okay.
And if we want HD quality signal on the monitors, I think that can be done by adding the HD modulator. I don't know what they would charge to install that, but I know that the ones I've looked at are about $1,000.
That's a lot better than 14.
Yeah. And it should be a fairly simple installation, because basically you pull out the existing analog modulator, put the HD modulator in,
Bright displays.
and cable up to it, configure the modulator, and then retune the TVs to the whatever HD channel it's outputting on.
Is that something that PASIC can complete, even though it might be a little, if we bought the modulator?
That's something they can put on.
Is that something they could do, or?
Well, he talked about in one of his answers, he says that what he had in mind for distributing the camera signal was to take the HDMI signal from the NVR and convert it to an analog signal, and then use the existing modulator, which you would then not have HD pictures on the monitors. So I'm thinking that's fairly inexpensive item, probably under $100, that converter, but then you don't have HD.
Which is what we were trying to go for, I think.
And the NVR can display all 24 cameras in a single view. It can do a 5x5 view. I'm not sure what that'll look like on those 32-inch monitors, but if they're in high definition, it certainly would help with the quality of it. The other thing is they can log in at any one of their computers running that viewing application, and they can look at anything they want, or they can look at a single camera, or they can configure their own custom view of cameras. They can go in and search through the recordings. So I'm not sure why we have to have the 8 monitors have that kind of abilities to be able to be configured independently when they can do all that on their computers.
And you can pick, so would we, I hate to use the word pick, would you take, because the NVR is for 16 cameras, right?
The NVR can record 16
So
things
would we,
simultaneously.
I'm just saying, could we pick 16 cameras? And I guess what I'm looking, I would have to have their input, is we do a lot of childcare custody drop-offs, so those need to be able to be recorded. I would have to involve them, which is what I should do anyway, but I'm just saying, so if they pick 16 next month, could they do different grouping? If they see there's more activity with different ones, I'm just, once you program the 16,
See, I'm not familiar enough with the NVR to be able to answer questions about what, I know it's a 16-channel NVR, so it can record 16 things at one time.
yeah,
But you can register 32 cameras to it.
okay.
So you can have all,
I think you can switch them.
How many cameras have they got?
well, they have,
24.
they have 16 now in the system that's up and running now. And
Yep.
they've added 8 more IP cameras, so there would be a total of 24 cameras. Some of them may be redundant,
Right, that's what I'm wondering.
you know, they may be covering the same area, but
At a different angle, yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I guess, if you can just, what do I do next? I'd like to get this off the ground. and
Somebody's
off
got
our
to
table.
decide whether a common view on all 8 monitors is acceptable. If it is, then get PASIC to come back and finish what they, quote, the job that they were awarded. And if you want HD quality signal out on the monitors, then my thought is add the HD modulator. That's the simplest solution to that, I think.
Well, I think at minimum, just get them back up here, finish the job.
Yeah, and then we'll figure out about the model.
And then I think, and then we can cry, I say, but ask that, present them, say, hey, can we get this, I know we're gonna have to pay extra.
Yeah,
I
it's
get that.
additional. Can you add an HD modulator so we have HD on the monitors?
Exactly. And how much would that be? And if it's nominal, what sounds like we're talking about,
1,000, 1,200.
then run with it.
I think it should be
14,000.
like less than an hour of their time
To just, to
install it and
replace it, yeah.
and reconfigure the monitors to receive that signal.
And there it is right there.
Okay.
And you did speak to him, right? That's right here.
I didn't speak to Mark Spires, but I called him 3 times, left him a voicemail 3
Mm-hmm.
times. He never returned my call, but he did respond to my email, so.
I like that idea.
And Spalding Hill did call me back, and I talked to them about using the HD modulator, and they thought that may be a good solution if they're willing to accept a common signal on all the monitors. But they didn't want to get involved in it because it would be actually connecting into PASIC's equipment,
Yeah.
and then there could be finger pointing if
Yeah,
something goes
exactly,
wrong.
yeah.
So
That's
Yeah.
why I'm.
they thought that it would be better if PASIC took care of that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, again, I think my own part,
Yep.
thank you,
Yes,
first and foremost,
Thank you for all your time.
for all the legwork. And I think at minimum now, we at least have them come back up and finish what they started. And, with
Ask them
with
that
Jason's
question.
recommendations
Yeah.
and working with them, sounds like they're starting to work together, that we, try and move forward on that modulator idea.
Yeah, I sent him an email this morning and told him I was not happy that after he was willing to work with us, that you wouldn't call you back. That might be why you got an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
He emailed me like at 9:30 this morning, I think,
No,
around
he
there.
was
So
my
I
first
don't-
email. Yeah, he was on email shortly after 8.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, well, I think it was Emily that got Spalding Hill to call me back. I think she contacted them and said, hey, you need to give this guy a call.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, no, I sent out to PASIC because I want to get it done. So, but thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you, sir.
yeah.
So now, how much was the bill for? Was it for the whole job? I mean,
It
the
was the
payment.
original bill
check?
plus 14,000.
Yeah, that
No, no, no,
No,
no.
no, no, no.
The original bill is
was
what they billed us
90,
for.
yeah, 9,600.
98.
Yeah.
When they hadn't finished it?
Well, they haven't done much at all.
They
Run
met-
5 wires.
We
Right, so
cut the
why would
check,
we-
But we haven't paid it.
No, they
Right.
don't.
Well,
Right.
when they come, yeah,
Nothing's-
tell them to come back up, finish it to what, we spec'd, and we'll go from there.
How do you do?
Yeah.
Right.
Tim Matheson. Walker Roofing, I was just wondering if we found out about a color or copper. Because
You guys
we'd be
all
having
have-
them here for
You
next
guys all
week.
have a copy of the roofing estimate. And it was a TRINAR coded
Trying
galvalume.
Galvalume.
Yep. That's all it says. That's
Yep.
much like an
So underneath that, it says, in all the grid caps, flashings, in the color of your choice.
But I have an earlier sheet of this at home. I couldn't bring it because it was upstairs. I don't know what might be up before I left, but
Does that show or reflect on?
I had written down 20-ounce copper and the spires to be added.
Your choice.
Okay, see, you're a year after. See, this is what we gave them in 2018.
Well, it should have been the same.
Because it had we had asked for additional to paint and scrape.
And that's on there also.
No, right there. Right, but it didn't have a price for it.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a color of your choice. And did you ask about the spires and the fences?
Oh, it does say that,
'Cause-
sorry. In color of your
Right.
choice.
So, I didn't know if you saw that in the parentheses, the fences, they didn't put spires, but
Well, we
there
did
was a lot of
discuss it.
verbal
It didn't
things
get put on
talked
this.
about
We
as
built
far as,
fences for both roof and ledges,
them
and
doing the East Road barn and also,
I have a copy of this, I believe this one at home, and right on it, we must have discussed it, because I wrote 20-ounce copper and spires missing. So we must have discussed it.
so I guess my point being, they're gonna be here next week, I would think, because they said they're gonna, come
He's
in
gonna
2
touch
weeks?
base with me on the 15th, because we're supposed to get 3 days in a row of not good weather. So he told me he would touch base with me the week of the 15th,
okay.
which is next week, because we're supposed to get not such good weather for the
Right.
next 2 days.
So yeah, if we get the color of the copper pinned down. I know you guys too are working on the roofing for the safety complex.
Yep, that's on my list too.
And I went up there, took a look at that. I had sold roofing in past life. Ice and water shield. Did I hear that you want to put ice and water shield on the entire complex?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we've said
We
that.
discussed that.
It's been discussed, but I've read
That's
a lot.
something you do not want to do.
Yeah, I've read it's not. a
Because in
good
8 to
thing.
10 years, the polyolefin film that's on the back of the bituthane, GF has watch guard, Grace has ice and water shield. After 8 to 10 years, the back of that crazes and cracks, and that allows that bituthane to come up through, and it'll actually bond your shingle to the deck. Now, if you called someone and told them that a roofer that you had bituthane on your roof, they're going to charge you more to strip it, because probably the deck's going to come up with it. So you're setting yourself up in, say, 20, 30 years, if you re-roof that complex again, there'd be a high chance that you would have to rip up a lot of the plywood. It's going to come right up with it.
Yeah.
And you'd probably be looking at 4 times the expense you're incurring now, so it'd be a disservice to put ice and water shield on the whole thing. The curling, that's usually caused by trapped heat and moisture and inadequate exhaust. So I was looking at that. Have you guys considered a powered attic ventilator on maybe something over the actual fire station? A couple throughout there's 3 or 4 different roofs there within. The roof in the middle of the police department seems to be stranded. It appears to be like 36-inch gable end vents. I believe there's 5 in the total building. But the middle of the police station where the curling is at its worst, I think that air is stranded. I don't know if there is fire or demising walls in between that go right up to the roof. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware.
We're supposed to go over and look this week at that.
But
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But you can get these air powered air vents. They're under $200 for a commercial unit. They're humidistatically operated and thermostatically operated. And the other thing too, if you might want to think about a lighter color shingle, it'll bring the average deck temperature down from 170 degrees to a lower temperature. And there again, if you had ice and water shield underneath a black shingle, it acts as a heat sink. Plus, any kind of moisture will not come up through the deck as it naturally could. So please do not use ice and water shield over the whole deck on that building. The DPW building, have we heard anything from Turnstone?
As far
They
as,
came back.
I don't believe they've come back. They've come back and looked at it. I don't think.
And they found the leak, but they were gonna wait a couple weeks.
Right.
It's up to Benji to call him,
Right. To schedule best time to come down
to schedule it.
and fix it.
Because I'm in 100% agreement with you, Ricky, that I guess someone mentioned that the barrier couldn't be cut,
They don't want it, no.
but you've got to get the water out, because this is something I talked about in 2015, 16, about if there's any water captured up in there, condensation
It's
or
what's gonna
leakage
rust
or
the
otherwise,
roof.
it's going to stay there. And it's going to rot the back of the roof decking from the inside out. Any clips that hold the roof down, any place where there's a screw that permeated up through, it's going to rot that, and you can have all kinds of rust holes. And as far as Owens Corning, the insulation manufacturer, I can't imagine them accepting blame for another trade or manufacturer or improper installation. But I think the best thing to do with that, you've got to open up that membrane to get the water out. Because one drop attracts one, then another, and another, and it's just going to continual cycle. And, John, you said there was a gasket that was gone?
The roof goes like this, and then there's a piece that goes like this on the top of it, in the
Are
front.
you talking about the short roof?
Gasket, no, the big, long roof,
All right.
okay? The roof is like this, and then there's a piece that goes like this over it. There's a gasket right here that's too thin. So they're gonna take that whole front piece off, take that gasket out, put a thicker gasket in, and put it back down.
Okay.
'Cause that's where they found the leak was, when the snow's on there, the water goes up, not down. It'll go up through and leak in.
So it's going up through?
Yeah, when
So
the,
that means you have a siphon. So on metal roofs, you can have a siphon also.
when the snow load is on there, the water has a tendency to go into those cracks. It isn't the whole way across. They tested the whole piece, but they did find 2 or 3 sections that they could slide a knife up underneath it.
But they would have to have a fix for the barrier to seal it back up. It needs to be opened up, aired out, and
Dried out.
dried.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's just a time bomb 15 years away. We certainly don't want to re-roof that, strip all the insulation out. Or your employees have mold issues, respiratory. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Don't bring it up.
Till later.
Don't bring it up.
Oh, okay. Unless you want to bring it up later, like in correspondence. So. All right, department head committee items?
None?
None?
We briefly talked about the staffing discussion.
Yep.
I mean, as we heard from public comment tonight, I guess we need to get the residents more involved, but what do you want to do?
Well, again, I think we mentioned it at the, for the police chief search, as far as, what, recommendations on what would like to be seen. You know, like we did that for the, you know, what would you want to see in police chief? You know, for your town. Suggestions that way. You know, we can take suggestions regarding the positions as a whole. But I think at the end of the day, and right, wrong, or indifferent, you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong. The majority of people in this town want to come in and just want service. They don't really care who provides it to them. They want the service.
And they want it yesterday.
And they want it yesterday.
Right.
And I think that they've tasked it to us to make that happen.
Yeah, and the plan that I talked about, I've gotten some feedback, and I wasn't looking to drop 3 new people tomorrow.
Right.
We have 1 vacancy we know about
Coming.
in May. May 30th is going to be here before you know it. You know, it seems to be all over the place as far as, you know, what goes on in offices and things like that. You know, there's a lot that goes on outside of here that really doesn't know what goes on. But, you know, I guess we can open and have a public information with regards to that. The one thing that will be a shock for everybody is if you decide to make change. Change does not come easy to this community.
Comes very hard.
People are used to coming in, calling, getting what they want within a few minutes. And if you're going to think about doing some reorganization that may not, say you decide to go test the water with code enforcement for a couple days a week, contracted, that's going to take a big change, because if I'm going to call and I always got Chip to come out in the afternoon when I called in the morning, that's not going to happen
Right.
if it's a day that person's not here.
Correct.
So there's a lot of variables to what we're trying to accomplish. I guess early on, why wouldn't we have one night to take input for suggestions?
Yep.
If the residents are crying to help,
Yep.
you know, let's give them the opportunity. But at the end of the day, what outwardly may look like it would help may not when you look at inside.
Right. The practicality of it.
It may not function the way.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I don't.
And I'm not opposed to having a Monday night where we receive some input on a proposed change or make a suggestion of a proposed change.
Right. But I think we as the board need to come up with an idea first as far as the direction, and then, you know, the input would be valid after that. You know,
Maybe there's somebody out there that has a better suggestion than what we thought about.
and that's true too.
You
You know, I'm not saying anything's in stone, but
Right.
we gotta have some kind of a plan of attack.
Yeah, and as I said before, you know, it would be nice to do things a little different, but this building's not conducive to doing much
No,
change to renovation-wise.
and the size of it, yeah, we're pretty limited as far as
Just the old building.
room,
It just
yeah.
doesn't,
yeah. It's not like we can put 3 new offices in. That can't happen.
correct.
Right. So.
So, I mean, I'm not opposed to, if you want to take, but do it soon,
Yeah. Yeah.
because May 30th is going to creep up to us faster than you know. Next week, I know you have a public hearing for the gazebo.
Right.
I also know that you have a request for another Classics Road discussion that came from the zoning board. So I know at least those 2 things have been asked to be put on the agenda. If you want to not have a staffing discussion, but receive input from the residents regarding a proposed staffing discussion, I don't, you know what I mean? I'd rather do it and let us toss around some ideas.
Right.
You know, because there may be somebody out there that's got a better idea.
Right.
I'm not opposed to that.
Oh, I'm not either. And again, and you know, the public is the ones that have to work with these individuals and these positions that we put in place. So, you know, again, I'm not opposed to it at all. I just want to make sure that they're heard, but at the end of the day, that we do what's best for what we need to do for A, the town, and B, for our employees. So, I would like to potentially, if I mean, I know we got a couple things next week. I would like to do one or the other. And when I say one or the other, I'd like to also take the suggestions on the police chief.
Then
Couple
I would
weeks.
suggest maybe you do it next week.
We'll do it next week.
Do them both.
Okay, yeah.
Limit
You know?
it to like an hour.
Half hour for each.
I don't want to cut anybody off, and then you're
No.
accused of not hearing everybody either.
No.
So
But we'll try for, we'll
Well,
shoot for a half hour
Maybe you
each.
got a limit that they, can get up and speak
Back
for
and
5
forth,
minutes
right.
or
well,
something.
I would
or-
think if somebody might have the same, just like any place, we've tried to conduct a forum that you don't have to get up and repeat the same situation. Just you either agree or you don't agree or you don't. You know, we don't continue to talk
Anything
about-
new.
Same
Yeah.
thing over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we can be productive if we limit it. We can try for an hour.
All right,
You know.
we'll try for an hour. Yeah.
Um,
But again, and I want it to be, for the police chief, what, and this is my own, if anybody else wants anything different, please speak up. What would you like to see in your town's police chief? And then with the with the other departments we're talking about, just have them, have it be, suggestions as to, but, it rolls back to, again, we have, there's functionality, there's what is wanted and what we're looking for, but at the end of the day is what's going to be practical for what we actually need. So, I would really like, who I would really like to come in are the people that are in there all the time, i.e. your local contractors, your local plumbers and electricians that they get the inspections, and their suggestions to me would be huge because they're the ones that are dealing with it front and center. Regardless of the amount of positions we have, but they're the ones that are dealing with it front and center, and they may see the shortfalls
that's what I'm saying.
every time,
Yeah.
so maybe we can reach out to them and just, even if they don't attend that, maybe if they just kick you a quick email, we can read it in public next week, at that time. If you have a couple people that come in here regularly for inspections, just kick me an email and say, hey, this is, we're looking to better the situation. What suggestions would you have?
So if next week I just put input on the police chief and CEO vacancies,
Mhm.
and then,
Yep.
potential staffing or
Yep.
something along that.
That sounds good.
discussion.
You gotta
Yeah,
po-
sounds good.
You
Yeah.
gotta post this somewhere so people know we're doing it.
Maybe we can give it to Mike. He can put it on the page, the Facebook page, the Weare.com NH.
Maybe in the little paper too.
Yeah, prior to the agenda, but
Well, if I give it to him tomorrow, because he always puts it out on Wednesdays.
perfect.
So.
Perfect.
Okay.
Works for me. Anybody else have anything to say on the staffing discussion for now? All right,
Good.
we'll do it next week. Meeting minutes.
You
18.
guys just
We
got,
just got them. I haven't had a
Just
chance to
got
read
All
them.
right,
Yeah,
we will
okay.
table them then. That was quick.
I've got just a couple quick things.
Hold on. We got manifest administrator's report.
Well, I'd like to discuss the minutes.
Yeah, from the 18th. So is it actually true that the library doesn't have a bookkeeper?
What's
Did I
that?
get that wrong?
What's that?
Regarding the public comment, the minutes from March 18th.
I think there needs to be some research, because there
Yeah.
always was a bookkeeper.
So
Well,
did
we-
I get that wrong? Did I mishear?
Nope.
No.
Did I?
Nope.
Okay.
I
No.
don't think
No,
so.
no, 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 I
I
think that was
said
added,
it.
I think that was a clarification of something that somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I would, we'll look into it and we'll
Yeah.
have Naomi just get a hold of you.
Is there any way that we can have the minutes on Fridays before the meetings? Is there some reason, Naomi, what do you do with the minutes? Because
Forward
it
them,
seems
so-
like Hannah's sent them and they haven't,
I don't usually send them to Naomi until the weekend.
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not.
And
a
the
real
last
problem.
one got to me, and then I was here for Monday, and that was it.
Right.
Last week, because I was
Right.
gone.
So the
But
18th,
there's they do come across, because Hannah doesn't know everybody, and she doesn't understand what goes on all day long.
okay,
Some things come across with highlighted asking me to clarify it.
okay.
Like
so
if I don't know
that's-
somebody's full name or something.
Or what I was even talking
Right.
about, it's, she asked me for more input.
Okay.
So, that's
Well, I
really.
just didn't know if you had, if you did your report or whatever it was after.
No, she does it all.
Oh,
Other than
okay.
she sends it to me with highlighted areas that she needs some more input. Because, as I explained before, a minute taker that's not in the building during the day, it's tough to know where
Right,
we can,
okay.
we can cryptically talk about something that we all understand, but she doesn't.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
It's
No,
no
like I said, I
disrespect,
didn't know
yeah.
if you did your report and
No, no,
had
no,
to
she
add it,
does
and
it
I know
all.
that.
She does it all.
Okay, so the request to have them on like a Friday is not a good thing?
I can try.
Or at least over the
Because by
weekend.
law, she has till Monday.
No, I know she does,
Yeah.
but you know, I know.
So we can review it before Monday.
Review them
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
Monday and, that,
Or
you know,
even
it'd
if
be
it's
a
a
lot
Saturday
easier.
afternoon or something, just a couple days beforehand.
Yeah,
No.
So you're asking me to do that on Saturday?
No,
Okay,
I'm not asking you,
I
but,
understand that.
so Friday then.
No, and I guess, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal if I can just
Well,
do
I'm thinking
it
of,
from home and flip it. But
I'm thinking, well, no, but I'm thinking is, you know, maybe not right now again, because some of the stuff comes over highlighted, but I'm sure that as time
oh,
progresses,
yeah, the highlights are
the
getting
highlights
less.
are gonna be
Yeah.
basically null.
Right.
So at
Right.
that point, then Friday wouldn't matter,
Sure.
kick it whenever, just a day or two
Yeah,
before.
no, I mean, the
Yeah.
highlights are getting less and
Yep.
less.
Yep.
and the other thing, can we, like, I didn't get I got it online, but, the agenda for tonight,
Yeah.
we usually get them.
Well, there again, I was.
I know this week you were out.
I
know
was
you
out
were.
this week, but I posted it on the online on Monday. And
Okay.
usually if people don't get it from me, they go online to get it.
Yeah,
Right.
I did go
I got
online,
Seth
but
now.
I can't pull it up online.
I got this afternoon.
I don't know why. It gives me this thing down
Tom
the
had the same
bottom.
issue, didn't he? He couldn't do something online. Yeah, Tom Cole had the same
Tom
issue.
print
couldn't
stuff.
print.
You
Tom
can-
couldn't
That
print,
was
that's
the
right.
problem.
He couldn't
I
print, he
can't
couldn't print from home.
No, but
Right.
if I do it online, it tells me something to do with changing settings, and I
Oh,
don't know what it
perfect.
means. So, anyway,
Anything else on minutes for now?
nope.
Okay. Manifest, that's me. All right. Move to order the treasurer to sign payroll accounts payables checks dated April 11th, 2019, as included in the following manifest. A payroll manifest of $56,840.31 for weekly payroll, and an accounts payable manifest of $50,673.99. We got, like, other manifests missing on this. We got John Stark in there, too.
Oh, that's
Yeah, we
right.
signed John Stock. It's not in there.
And the other one. Wasn't there one for Weare School? No.
Nope.
No,
I
John
didn't see
Stark.
where, just
then.
John Stock.
Yeah, 200.
Stark,
I think
450.
450.
No, that's the Ware School's 450. This is 250.
John Stark's usually 250.
250.
250,
Yeah, there's a 250 in here, too.
yeah.
And that's from, where's the date? 4/11. Yeah. So,
Okay, we'll have to add it.
Add
I'm not
it.
sure why.
411.
No, I'm all set for money.
make sure there's nobody else in there.
What's that?
I said make sure there's nobody else in there needs money.
Now, do you have payable, payroll, fire?
No, we don't.
On here?
Next week.
No, we don't.
We don't.
No.
We don't have one in here either.
There's
Yeah,
nothing.
you probably don't have a fire until, they're doing it bi-weekly. so.
Right.
Next week.
So you'd have to add the school district, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll continue. Accounts payable manifest, $50,673.99. John Stark Regional accounts payable of $250,000 for a total of $357,514.30. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Let's go through the non-building one. You touched on most of the building stuff earlier, so. You guys got the March capital reserve listings?
Yep.
The ACO, I do know we had one application, I just need to touch base with Sean as to the plan.
Okay.
I'm not sure if, one is correct, or should we run it again? Especially now in light of the new dollar amount, the new hours.
Right.
So that's why I want to ask Sean about the plan before he takes off on Thursday. The Mildred Hall, the trustees are meeting on this Wednesday. So I'm guessing that after this Wednesday, depending on the decision, we might start to get more information from PLC. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
So, I think you guys all saw, did I forward you the email that he sent me about what he's waiting?
Yep.
What I brought, because it wasn't anything new. He was waiting on the trustees.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that
I
email.
emailed, yeah, I saw the email on it.
Yeah, I
but
forwarded you
don't
the
think
email,
it's
I didn't
here.
print you anything.
Uh,
We just talked in just a reminder, Monday night, we're meeting starting at 5:30, you don't have to be here. To start the interview process with the potential applicants. We just talked about staffing and what we're gonna do for next week.
Thursday, right?
Shocker, I'll be here all week. I'm gonna go next to my government buildings. We talked about the bell tower, and is there a choice of your color, or do you have I mean, it does talk about in the color of your choice. Do you guys have a color?
Well, I think it should be somewhat, A, historically correct, and B, blend to what we have
Right.
on the rest of the,
Be
on the rest of the
Can we
building.
dark
also
color.
find the difference in
I mean-
price of actual copper
Well-
versus this?
Yeah,
And I'm gonna stop right there, because that
Changes a bit.
irritates me, is we put this RFP out, people bid on it, and then we come back every time and we're trying to change it.
that was talked about right from the get-go,
It
because I
wasn't
brought
in
it
the,
up.
but it wasn't in the RFP.
But it wasn't in the RFP,
Well, I don't
that's
know.
what.
No one talked about 24-ounce galvanized here initially. The only thing that was talked about was 20-ounce copper, and that's what was discussed when I met with Tom Walker, was 20-ounce copper, and that was back 2-3 years ago now, probably pushing 3, I don't know.
And man, I understand that, you know, but this is exactly what we went through with the cameras. First and second round of cameras is, we need to change it. Oh, we don't like that, we're gonna change it. We don't like that, we're gonna change it. I mean, these people bid, and now we're gonna change it on them? And and I'm just gonna go from the outside here and say, you know, if I put a bid in for this, and I wasn't the selected company, and then when it's changed, and I didn't get an opportunity to bid on it because that was changed, it's favoritism, and I'm never gonna bid in that town again.
Well, but Laura weighed in on that, the first camera process, remember? We had the first gentleman come in, he came in and he looked it over and said, you know, this is not how I would do it.
Right.
There was another way of doing it, and then we actually said, you either do it the way we bid it or you withdraw, because we couldn't make changes.
Right.
And he withdrew in the end, and he never rebid the second time.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, is, you know, we just can't keep changing these after the bids have been awarded. It can't be done.
Especially on roofing, we had a hell of a time getting anybody to even
Yeah,
do it.
to even go up there. I mean, if I remember correctly, we kind of had to hound these guys to take the
Yes,
bid,
we did.
you know? And I'm not saying that maybe they wouldn't want to do the copper, because it may put a little more, you know, ching in their pocket, but we also did have,
gonna be much.
we did have another bidder from 2016 for the repairs on this. You know, I hate the
Go with the
fact.
darker color then, because you don't want that green up there. Get stuck with that green right off the bat. because
Is
it'll-
there a color
That's a-
chart I should be asking
I
for?
think it's, didn't you say the colors here last week or 2 weeks ago?
I didn't talk about any color. I know
Green.
nothing about a roof.
He
Green
did.
verdigris, it's bronze, the color of the stone building now,
Yeah,
gold,
Bronze.
shiny copper,
yeah.
and aged copper, which could be slightly mottled green
Yeah.
to
Probably
dark
the
bronze.
bronze, probably the dark color. I don't
Because
know.
it says a color of our choice, so I think we
Bronze,
get the
brown
choice,
should probably
we
be
get to
our
make that
ideal
choice.
Right, well, I think dark, like I said, darker probably the better,
You got a dark roof over there. to
That's
begin
what
with.
I'm saying, is to match what we already have. But, I mean, and again, and I'm not saying, I am no roofing expert by any means. If, as long as it doesn't leak water, it's a roof, and I'm happy with it. But, you know, but my thing is we can't change the RFPs once they've been awarded. They cannot be changed.
Well-
Hindsight may be 20/20, but,
This didn't get put on, so the spires aren't on there either. And those spires were talked about, so
I
just
think,
want to
are
let
they
you
the
know.
fences?
that's the fences.
Well, that is, I
That's
talked
not-
about the fences, you can't have the fences without the spire.
Yeah.
You could,
I'm
you,
sorry.
You probably could, but
Right, but again,
just
it's,
want to make sure that we're
it's,
the same, that's all.
again, I mean, and I'm not disagreeing that maybe it should have been copper to go along with what we have on the, you know, the stone building. I just, again, we award these bids out, and they need to be followed, and not changed midstream.
Yeah, I don't know where that galvanized came up. because
Couldn't tell you.
We never talked about it here. That was never discussed in this meeting. I've gone back and looked through the minutes in July. I didn't see anything about galvanized metal, painted metal, but whatever. I mean, if it's done, it's done.
So what do I ask for, a darker color, or do I specify a color?
I would say that, well,
Well,
it's as close as they can to match what we have on the main structure.
Yeah, a dark color that'll
dark-
match the dark shingles.
Right.
I don't know what
On-
color that's gonna be.
On the main structure.
It's a dark, ask him if
And,
it's a
and
bronze.
if, Board, if I'm off topic on this and off base, please let me know. But that's my feeling, is that we need, once we award the bid, we need to stick with it.
Oh, I agree with you.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, it's not fair to the contractor to change it.
And
because
it's
then
not just this, it's everything we do,
Yeah,
you know?
not fair to the contractors to change it midstream after he's already bid on it, and that means it could be more cost, and that, basically, it's throwing the bid out, and you'd have to start again. Like you said, it's not fair to anybody else that might have bid along with it.
I mean, because for all I know, one of the other vendors could have get a smoking deal on a pack, and they were ordering copper or ordering some other product for another building they're gonna do, and they could have got us in on a smoking deal and come in under this one, and then where are we at? I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying that the possibility's out
Bad
there.
business.
It's, to me, it's a bad business practice to keep going back and saying, oh yeah, we awarded to you, now can you do this, can you do that, or can you not do this, can you not do that? I don't like that.
Unless you want to sustain an additional cost, because usually this cost.
Which I'm sure that there would be, and you know, we can absorb some of that back and forth with our budget. I don't disagree with that. But it's not,
I wouldn't worry about it.
it's not what was bid. You know, there was a bid process done. This is the one we awarded, and again, I remember, we had to kind of hound these people to come down and
Yep.
actually say, commit to us. And, I mean, they were supposed to be there last year building spires and doing other things, and time got away from them. I get that. But now we're in April, and we're still looking for a progress report, and it took us a while to get that, so, you know.
Okay?
With me, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I just,
I'd rather, you know.
I'll be dead when the roof starts leaking anyway, so
Yeah,
no one will point fingers.
You won't be sitting at this table?
yeah.
No.
Okay. Gazebo, what says there, just a reminder, and I mentioned it before, we have the public hearing next weekend for up to 20K. Just to follow up a little bit further on that, Tim and I touched base. I got an email back from Laura, and it was okay to go ahead and let somebody make the deposit to get it started. And it's just a
Okay.
matter of how we're gonna do it after, but Tim and I touched base Tuesday.
Awesome.
And so Tim took it from there.
Have
That's
they- have they-
excellent.
I have a question on it. If they come forward with what the snow load's gonna be on that roof, or what the new structure that they're putting together, or the load for the decking, how many people you can have in there at any given time. I think that's an important thing to know.
80
80
pounds
pounds, okay.
square foot.
80 pounds a square foot?
Yeah.
And they're gonna give that to us in writing?
That's what
I
they-
would hope. Huh?
I can probably get it.
I'd like to see that, because I don't wanna see a heavy snow load never collapse. And whatever the
Well, if
working,
that one over there didn't collapse, you don't
Well.
have to worry about it.
it's a different design, a different structure, but I'd like to see.
Different times.
Yeah, different times. I'd like to see also what the load is for having, how many people can be in there, what the load is for that deck.
And Benji's getting ready to get started on that, right? I see that you guys
Tuesday.
pulled off most of the,
Yeah.
I mean, she could add,
All but
if you've
what,
got
4?
something to add, might as well do it now versus
Yeah.
redoing it again.
right, yep,
And it's whoever the contractors, they're gonna dig out,
Saying Tuesday,
okay.
they're gonna dig out the foundation.
possibly Wednesday, but Ben's supposed to do that. He'll do all the digging.
You're gonna dig down and take all the old material out, put
Yeah,
new
he-
material, because that's nothing
Yes.
but an old
Yeah.
house that,
Stump dump.
Yeah.
well, no, it was a
House,
house there.
it was a house,
And they
right.
just buried it.
They
They
don't
buried it,
bury
yeah,
them.
so,
So that's
yeah,
not
if we
a
go
solid-
down,
He
I'd like to go
knows
down
that.
some feet.
Solid
The
ground.
other thing I spoke to Naomi about was, and I think she knew, is that the Romex isn't, they got Romex run down to the box, and that's not to code, so.
Yeah, they knew that
Carol's
anyway.
gonna look at that.
Okay, yeah, and that's what we wanted, was him to look at it.
Carol said it wasn't the code a while ago, so that's
There
why
you
it's
go.
been shut off.
So it's gotta be,
I got a question on,
Yep.
from the Patriotic Celebration Committee. There's electricity to the east of that on a post by a tree.
Yeah.
Is that still gonna be live so we can plug into it during our celebration in June? I know the
Well, it
gazebo's
should
not
be.
gonna be electrified, but
Yeah.
is that gonna be electrified for us?
Right.
It's not live now, it's fed from the same feed that feeds the gazebo.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think what we did last year, though, is because of what was going on in the gazebo, Carol made everything live for the Patriotic,
that's-
and then we unmade it.
Yeah, that's
We
what
took
that's
the
what we
live
were
away
wondering.
so that
As
nobody
long
would
as
get
that
hurt.
plug is there, so we can get our DJ power.
check with,
I mean, I can
Hopefully
check with
Carol's
him.
gonna
Check
have it
with
all
Carol.
fixed by then.
yeah.
Yeah.
If
He
he
should have
can't,
it all.
And I
if he
mean-
can't do it, let us know.
is that gonna be somewhere close to where Benji's digging?
No, it's
I thought it was quite a ways
20,
away.
25 feet away.
Well, if the equipment's there and it needs to be redone, now's the time to do it.
Right.
It's right underneath the gazebo. I think it
Probably
crosses
does.
If
Probably
that's the
goes
case,
off
then
the
let's
gazebo.
redo it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
Put
no
it
better
out.
time than now.
Yeah, do it all.
I mean, for the $250
Put the conduit in
in
and
material
do
that's
it the
gonna
right
be,
way. Put
then
the conduit
it's time
in
to do
instead of
it.
direct
So,
bury.
yeah,
yeah, and I know Ben's called Dig Safe, so I know he's got all that
Yep.
lined up.
okay,
so,
yeah. Again, if it's gonna be, I mean, we're talking material and a little bit of time to lay it down. No better time to do it now when the ground's 100% disturbed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So,
I'll call Ben tomorrow, if he's up here working, he'll meet me, he's gonna go out and look at those trees that gotta come down by the
Okay.
town hall before the
yep,
roofers come down to do the bell tower.
okay. We're still on buildings, right? Good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not done
Stand
yet,
by.
though.
Me either. So continue.
So the security camera project, thank you, Jason. We heard the update,
Yep.
and I'll try to get a hold of FASIC tomorrow. The safety complex roof, we talked about putting it on hold until you guys could go look at it as far as if that's truly what you wanted. And then we heard some input tonight, so I don't know where we are with
Yeah.
that.
Well, we're gonna go over it this week.
So this week,
Last week was
over
a
this
disaster
week.
for me, so.
yep, I'm just looking ahead to, if it's not before, I'm just telling you, if it's not before Wednesday, then it won't go in Friday's paper.
Okay.
And if it's not in Friday's paper, it would go in as soon as I can, and we'd be looking at the 29th to open bids versus the 22nd. Is that
Yeah.
all right?
That's fine.
Okay, so this is gonna be this week.
Yep.
We talked about the other two things. It's all I have under that, but I do have just a couple. I've told you about the gazebo with the, from Laura. I also wanted to, there was a discussion last week in regards to the skid steer and the funding.
Yes.
Hang on.
We're moving away from the buildings.
Well, yeah, we can, sorry.
Well, no, I got a couple things I want to mention.
Go ahead, because this is kind of more, I guess
All
it'd
right.
be correspondence, go ahead.
Did we, the town hall list of projects, the rakes, the rod on the rakes, one item.
Yep.
Can we rebid that as well?
Rebid the rest of the,
I'm just talking the rod.
The rod
Okay,
on
but
the
now the
back
rod-
corner? That's on there, isn't
but
it?
is, the rot, I think, is on here.
Yeah,
Where?
it's on this one. the rod.
It just says, repair crown molding on backside of town hall. If repairs are done separately and extra expensive, renting the lift would be
Okay.
applied.
Yeah, it's on
Well,
the
I want
back
them to
corner.
inspect, all right, so with that case, I want them to, just says no bids received, so that should probably be under the bell tower as well then.
Yeah, so, yeah.
But I kind of want them to do a visual of the rest of the building as well, too. If they're there with the lift, I mean, it's been 3 years since we've been over there to do a somewhat of an evaluation.
So you want Walker to do an evaluation while they got the lift?
I mean, if,
Tom would probably do it himself.
even if it's just pictures, and they're just swinging over the other side and say, hey, this is this, then we can say, all right, well, now we understand that we need to do more.
Yeah, because they're gonna do some of it, according to this,
Okay.
$5,000.
Okay, if that's the case, then
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Now, did they give you a separate bid for the coating that roof? Because they said they'd do the roof down on East Street while they were here?
Yeah, the Gordon Brown buildings?
Yeah, they didn't give me a price for that.
Okay,
We've got the material though.
yeah,
Yeah.
All the stuff's in the
Right.
stone building.
right,
So we need a price of labor.
yeah. And then, the gazebo's all set, town roof's on.
Painting estimate, is that?
Anything from anybody on the underpinning?
No, I haven't talked to
Did
anybody.
you guys get that short up? You said you were gonna try and put 2x4 jacks under it or something?
No, we didn't do it because it was so wet up, you know, it was
Okay.
wet, but we'll look at it as soon as the
Okay.
ground dries out here.
The ceiling and the walls in your office?
Thought is the town office roof, are we done with that?
Well, I mean, it sounds
We
like
haven't
that
had any
was,
more weeks.
it sounds like that was a wind-blown
That's what I thought,
incident.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I think that was a
Well,
freak of
come through
nature.
that window there.
Yeah, I think that was a
one
kind of a
wall.
freak of nature.
I'll take it off.
Yeah,
Would I like to get it done? Sure.
okay.
But I think you really have a lot more things that you need to take care of first.
No, I agree, but I don't want it to slip by, and next thing you know, we're talking about, on
And the
the,
propane tank, you still want to go to this year? For this room, this town office?
I'd like to get quotes on it, at least for an update of that burner and, putting propane into it.
You know, we've got everything else propane. might as well
Right.
just go.
I mean, this, to me, this is on borrowed time behind us. I'm glad that they were able to put the whistle on it, but it's still on borrowed time.
Okay.
It's a buried tank.
And Homeland Security, I'll have to see when the next round might be
Mhm.
of grants,
It's fine.
because they do it at different times of ours putting it in here.
Okay.
I could just check on the like the
Mhm.
schedule.
Right. I just see a couple things that say spring on. That's all I want. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
want to, you know,
Yeah.
we're here. So I just want, the doghouse,
Is the
you-
next one?
knock it down. I don't care. Or whatever have you, but just, they were docketed for spring. I just don't want to lose track of them.
Yeah, the doghouse though, we ranged, I mean, are we just trying to make it watertight?
I believe, water and weather type. I believe that's pretty much the intention, right? Okay.
Okay, so let me just ask, I had asked a couple contractors and we got one of about $3,600.
Mhm.
And we got only one. I mean, to say, you kind of, it's open, free reign to say, how do I close this in? Everybody's got their own ideas.
Mhm.
So I'm just saying, I mean, I can have people look at it and they can throw your ideas out there, and see where we go.
Mhm.
See if I can get anybody to bid on it.
Right. I'm just thinking if and I know it's going to be quite a bit, but I'm thinking maybe, we're putting an ad in the paper for the roof, and that could be a standalone, but maybe in a couple weeks, we put another ad out there for multiple projects.
Yeah.
Well, before we spend the money on an ad, should we just try to see if I can get some people to quote first?
Mhm.
See where we are funds-wise?
Yeah.
I don't want to put an RFP out and then pull it under everybody's eyes again.
Mhm.
Say, sorry, we don't have any money.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could get quotes for the same thing, they aren't
Right.
really
Yeah.
tied.
Yeah.
I'd like to see your ceiling and walls get done.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm good with that.
All right. No, there's somebody, Jack's out in the hallway.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I'm like,
He hears noise.
I hear a noise here.
He's out there eating
Are you?
popcorn and watching a video.
That's fine with me. Just share the popcorn.
It's a lot of popcorn.
Yeah, he's got a whole bag.
Okay, that's it
So
for
that's
me.
basically all I had. The others I can do under correspondence or other business.
Okay. I think we're there.
Okay, just Hannah was, shared you all the email that Hannah gave me. Cause Ricky, you had asked about current electrical rates.
Yep.
So she provided that with you.
Thank you. In here somewhere. There it is, right there.
It should be on just an email,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
So these are normally, Hannah, a 3-year contract, all of these?
So it's 6 different contracts over 3 years.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. So it like 4 month, 8 month, 4 month, 8 month, 4 month, 8 month. So it's 3 4-month contracts and 3 8-month
8-month contracts. Mm-hmm.
Because used to, Constellation this time is a full 12 months.
Yes.
It
Well,
used to be, we used to hop on and get onto Eversource
Right.
for 4 months, right?
So the 3-year average you're saying is around 7.5 cents?
yeah,
kilowatt hour.
7.5 and change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
758.
Thank you.
And you said anyone can do this, homeowner?
Yeah, I'm just looking, you know.
She's getting you the rates.
I mean, you probably do not use quite as much as the town of Ware, so you may
I'd
not
like to
get
hope
as
not.
good of a
Well,
deal.
you never know.
but-
Well, you sent me something on that, in an email. I thought you said that was about 8 cents, I think you sent me, around 8.
Yeah, it's the Public Utilities Commission.
Yeah.
Okay. We all set?
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, we talked about the skid steer and how we were gonna pay for it.
Yes.
So, I sent Laura an email, and I asked her, I said at the town meeting in March, we had Article 18, which read, and I put the exact wording, which was appropriate the sum of $70,000 for the purpose of purchasing a new skid steer, with $20,000 to be withdrawn from the transfer station capital reserve and $50,000 to be raised by taxation. I said we opened bids tonight and awarded to MB Tractor for $41,028. My question is, now that the total is less, how should we pay for it?
Yes.
I said, do you have to spend all 20, which would honestly almost deplete the fund, first from the capital reserve and then use the 21,028 from taxation? Or can the board leave all or some of the funds in the capital reserve and fund the balance by taxation? Does that sum
Yep,
up what
yep,
we want to know?
that's-
yeah.
Okay. So she said, as long as you don't spend more than 50,000 from taxation, which obviously they won't, they can pay for it from any combination of the CRF and taxation. Follow back up and said, so, the board can spend all 41,000 from taxation and leave the capital reserve fund alone, and she said, YEP, yep. So, it's entirely up to you, as long as you don't spend over $50,000
Of taxation money.
taxation money. So you'd be returning 9,000 and leaving the fund if that's how you choose. Whatever you want to do. But that was the legal answer that I
Okay.
got.
What's the board's discretion? What do you want to do?
I think take the 41,000 from taxation and leave the 20,000 in, so they
Yeah,
have
'cause
something to
that-
work with if they have a issue.
There's issues up there.
If there's an
that
issue
are
and
gonna
if
be
that's
popping up,
legal,
And that
that's-
compact is 12 years old, and the last one only lasted 17.
Okay.
So,
I mean, they need
It's too
emergency fallback.
close.
I'll take it as a motion from somebody.
I move that we pay for the skid steer out of the $50,000 from taxation, leave the $20,000 in the transfer station revolving fund for emergencies.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
She seconded. Then lastly, did you guys all see my email? I replied back to the neighbor
Yes,
on,
yes, the Blake Road.
the Blake
Blake
Road.
Road, yeah.
And Chip's sent an email and is giving him 15 days, so
Yep.
the reply was thank you, and then, he's looking forward to what happens, so.
15 days to clean up.
No,
No,
15 days
To reply
from
with
the
a plan.
Oh, with a plan, I was gonna
45,
say.
45 days to clean up.
Yeah.
That's probably a
And then
stretch.
So,
Forward it to
just, so we
DES.
did, it's moving, and as, the resident said, he'd be interested in keeping an eye on it, so we all are.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And then at the end of the evening, if I could have a non-public under C.
For,
There's some information you need to know. That was pretty quiet. Okay.
Yeah, wow.
regarding,
There's some information that's not to be shared with the, some of the candidates that you'll be seeing Thursday night.
thank you.
Okay.
I have one thing.
Thank you.
I was reading the financials that Beth brought up,
Well, that's not it.
and I see the transfer station revolving fund, the first quarter is running in the red. I think we need to keep our eyes on that. I know it's early in the year, but I think that's the first time I've seen it in the red this soon.
Nip it in the bud.
Go ahead.
No, it isn't. Am I gonna bring it up?
Well, yeah.
Okay, very good. A couple years ago, we had the transfer station evaluated as far
Oh,
as
yeah,
all the
that's right, too.
practicality of it. The NRA came up and did a site evaluation.
Oh,
They have a solid waste advisory team.
Oh, gee.
NRRA, it's free. And what it is, it's members of the NRRA plus usually, I think, there's 4 or 5 other transfer station towns that come up, and they'll go completely through that transfer station and recommend what we need to do to change it and make it more efficient. It was done
Oh, that was,
7 years ago probably now, and somewhere around the report got lost, apparently. And then on top of that, Phil Sear from Primex,
Since
a couple of years before that, went through that whole complex transfer station and gave a report back as to what our insurer wanted to see changed. And that was, I believe, 6 pages long. And I believe that's been misplaced.
I remember him coming.
Yep.
I also remember the Department of Labor coming.
Yeah.
Department of Labor did the safety inspection.
Yep.
Which is why we had to cone off the middle,
Right.
Right.
why we have to wear safety vests, why we had to paint lines, why
Yeah,
we had to
which
do some other
They don't wear
things.
safety vest anymore up there, and it's,
Well, that's not a good thing.
no.
And, the other thing is too, I mean, that is one of the, my own 2 cents on it, is that is one of the most used
oh, my,
facilities in this town.
yeah.
And, it's not, I'm not gonna blame any of the workers there at all. It's just, there's a lot of traffic through there,
That's awful.
foot traffic through there as well.
Yeah.
The office area is just plain worn out.
Oh,
I mean, you look at the floor, and it's down to bare wood, it's not pretty.
If you step in the main door there, you someday you're gonna go in you'll be in the basement.
Yeah,
The
so,
ceiling is totally,
Be checking out the compound.
I mean, it was built in 1989.
yeah,
Nothing's ever been done to
Be
that
30
building,
years this year.
right. I mean,
other than 2 doors.
couple doors and some paint ones,
That was
you know.
it.
I think that we really need to focus on that facility. Now, whether, I think that, I mean, obviously we're gonna have to cross the bridge sooner than later on the compactor assembly itself. That's gonna have to get rebuilt. I think we're doing well as far as the life we've gotten out of it. The slides and everything are, it's been maintained. It's obviously been maintained, but, it's a small area, and I think there's gonna, I think after this bond completion, the project as a whole is completed. I know the payment's gonna be forever, but after the bond is completed, I think we really need to start evaluating on, do we need to start digging and recreating up there and moving stuff around?
It's horrible.
It's
bad, you get
it's-
bottlenecked.
It's horrible. And
I know Benji, I've talked with Benji about it, because, I mean, let's face it, DPW is kind of my passion. And he's working on this and that when he has spare time as to
Right.
what to do up there.
Right, but I'm thinking it really needs to become a focus, probably not this year, obviously, not next year, but the year after, as far as groundwork,
A plan.
groundwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking for now, I mean, I think the hopper is probably acceptable for, going forward for at least another 5 or so years.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that we need to at least evaluate, the condition of that office, the floor, the doors,
The workers being outdoors in the sub-zero, which is,
Yeah, I mean,
Crazy.
I've watched, I watched Bill up there try and get out of the back door. The code didn't go in like 4 times. He had to push on the door just right to get it to go, and I'm like, really? This is one of our highest used traffic buildings, and this is what we got. So I really want to see that, some attention given to that this year. If not this year, then a plan for next year. But we really need to go up there. The evaluations, as John stated.
yeah, that's free. All
Right.
you gotta do,
yeah,
then
the-
you gotta have to do is call
the
up
building-
NRRA and they'll schedule it.
Yeah.
Building is a workspace, and if we don't provide them with a safe and
Well, that's just it.
solid workspace, we're in trouble with that. I mean, as far as not wearing their safety equipment, we're opening up ourselves to
Right.
all other issues.
I mean, that's-
if
yeah.
nothing else, go to the uniform vendor, and they make
They make them.
the compliant clothing with the stripes, or they'll get the colored shirts for the summertime, or
All he knows
whatever.
all about those.
Problem with those
Yeah.
nice yellow colored shirts, they do not breathe.
No,
How do
no,
they
they're very
are?
Well,
tight.
they've got the newer ones that have got
Yeah.
vent holes through them, and I've got them for work. I mean, that they're vented.
Vended ones, but ones we had up there. were-
Carhartt makes
oh,
them, and they're all got little. It looks like mesh. It's all meshed holes in it. So I mean, they do breathe. But I mean, in the other time, that the jackets, and you can get the jackets and the sweatshirts with all that stuff. So I mean, I think that we ought to go to the uniform vendor, we're paying them, and get the safety equipment for those guys to be out there, because if they get nailed by a car,
Yeah. I think, oh,
we're gonna be in trouble.
I just think that, that in my own tenure on this board, it seems like the transfer station's kind of been forgotten, And I don't think, again, where it's one of our highest traffic areas, it may be one of the highest traffic areas on a Saturday in the whole town.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I just, to me, it needs attention. It's just raw neglect. It's not anything that's happened from any employee or anything like that up there. It's just been.
No, it's just,
Time.
it's
Just
just time.
time.
It's worn out.
It's worn out.
Just like the old skid steer, it gets worn out,
Yeah, exactly. So.
Instead of pushing in the door, he'll have a hard time trying to get out of it if he gets in
Yep.
the office,
Yep.
so.
Does the Department of Labor do like regular studies, Naomi, do you know?
They only do inspections usually upon,
A
a
complaint,
request or a complaint.
yeah.
About what?
A request or a complaint.
Oh, okay.
Typically involves a lot of,
Violations.
money violations, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I just didn't know if they did it like every 5 years, 6 years, whatever.
I think
Nope,
that
they
I
could
think
have a
that,
spot one drop in.
I think the state's pretty short-handed in that department,
Yeah, the state
along with
is
every other department. So I
Yeah.
don't think
Right.
that they could probably afford to do that on a rotating schedule. So.
DES usually goes up there at least every 2 years. It used to be once a year, but.
Yeah, due to
usually,
funding
yeah,
cutbacks.
It's cut down about once every 2 years, and that's unannounced.
Yeah. I want to say it was, my father showed me an article tonight in the paper. I want to say it might have been Merrimack. They just went away from plastic recycling. They ended up finding out that Waste Management was actually taking it and putting in the solid stream. Their plastics they were hauling out, and the difference in price was nominal.
Yeah.
Between-
I believe Hooksit's doing the same thing next week or something. They're
Maybe it was
thinking of-
Hooksett.
they're
Maybe it was
thinking
Hooksett
of
rather than
dropping their
Merrimack.
whole recycling program.
Yeah, but
Because it's just not feasible.
it's not feasible. So, it's something that might be coming down the pipe, and I hate to say that, because,
Well, the
Well,
new,
if you
you know.
put all that glass in, that where they collect over there,
Yeah.
you're gonna be paying a lot of money.
for weight, I realize that, but,
A lot of 'em-
this was just plastic.
plastics,
Plastic.
yeah. A lot of them are doing it all with single stream. They're not even separating it or doing
Right,
anything else. So
right.
it's like,
And if that's the case, that could change that whole dynamic up there. The whole dynamic,
yeah, the only thing you'd be dealing with is the metals, the glass,
yeah,
and the construction waste,
theoretically, yeah,
and oil.
yeah.
We do that for the furnace.
Yeah, so, but just something to be thinking about. Like I said, we again, I know we got a list of government building, already, but, nothing from the transfer stations on there. I really think it needs, and I don't know how we could evaluate the structure itself. I don't know how we would go about that, but, I think it does need to be looked into as far as the floor structural. Does it all have to come out? Does it have to go back to joists
absolutely.
and et cetera? What are we gonna put down for a
And then
flooring
you
that's
may
gonna
look at
stand
the
up for-
joist, they may have to come out completely, so.
Right, so, I mean, and then on the other side of it, do we put, 20, 30 grand into a building that could be outdated in 5 years?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. It's something, obviously, but the NRA will probably tell us, hey,
Yeah.
you are looking at a 5-year plan on that.
And it's called the Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Contact the NRA over in Chichester, and they'll set it up and set a time up.
The number, you can call my ex-wife. She runs one of the.
Anything
she runs
else?
out of that program. Yeah.
Under correspondence of the business? No, all right. Move going non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, C.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will be adjourning afterwards.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.